Hi everyone, I'm Kaylee and these are my books. Welcome back to my channel. So today I have kind of a risky video because I'm going to be sharing my unpopular bookish opinions. Now this is a video where I share books that I either liked that most people didn't like, or I talk about books I disliked that most people liked. Therefore, it's unpopular opinions. You most likely will not agree with me. If you do agree with me, however, leave me a comment because I'm curious how many people have these same unpopular opinions. But I just want to give a disclaimer before we get into the opinions. This video will be a bit more negative. That's the, point of this video is for me to share opinions that are slightly unpopular and therefore slightly more negative. These are all my personal opinions, not something I objectively believe to be true. In fact, by the very nature of these opinions, I'm acknowledging that they're unpopular, and therefore most people actually do like these books that I'm saying I do not like. So take everything I'm saying with a huge grain of salt. I am going to start this video with the books that I liked that most people didn't like, just so we can start with some positivity before we get into all the books I did not like. So the first book I liked that most people didn't like is 9 Lives by Peter Swanson. I thought this book was a lot of fun. It was very fast paced. I liked all the characters. Yes, we did not get to know all of the characters very well because there were so many different points of view, but all the points of views felt different enough that I was never confused into whose character's mind we were in. And I thought their deaths actually were pretty impactful. I found myself getting quite sad when all of these characters were being picked off one by one. This is a thriller that almost no one liked, but I found it incredibly enjoyable. Was it the best written book ever? Of course not, but I thought it was quite entertaining. Following the train of unlikable thrillers that I actually did like, I liked Riley Sager's Survive the Night. It was ridiculous. It was definitely ridiculous, okay? I acknowledge that that main character made some questionable choices, as do a lot of Riley Sager's main characters. But the drama, it was so fun to watch her make these questionable choices. I had no idea what was coming next because this book was so wild. It was so out there. It was so much fun. So I actually think you should give this book a try if you haven't read it yet. And just go into it not being so serious. This is a book that's fun, but not a lot of thoughts, brain empty, good vibes. And the last book that I liked that most people did not like is Grady Hendrix's The Final Girl Support Group. I thought The Final Girl Support Group was so much fun. We got so much nostalgia for those classic horror movies like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Scream and Halloween and so many other iconic movies. And I'm not even a huge fan of these movies. Like, I've seen them all once, But even for me, it was so fun to read about these fake final girls from these movies set in a real world trying to move on with their lives, and yet there's another slasher killer threatening them all. It was so much fun. I could see how some people wouldn't like it because it's not like a book where you really connect to the characters. It's just a book where the plot is exciting, right? The plot is exciting and the nostalgia in it just brings those warm and fuzzies to my heart, which is weird to say warm and fuzzies about a horror slasher novel, but I'm saying it. I feel like I'm always sweaty in my videos because I have to turn off the AC so that you can actually hear me speaking. But I live in Texas and it's 111 degrees out today, so here I am just sweaty. Now on to books I disliked. I hate The Cruel Prince. And that was in an era where YA fantasy, especially YA fantasy romance, was like everything to me. I read it when it came out and it did nothing. I actually really hated the characters. They were so mean to each other. And I know that sounds silly, and I do like a lot of dark romance. It's something about The Cruel Prince. They were just always so terrible. All the characters were so terrible to each other that I just didn't root for anyone. I thought they all sucked, and I just wanted them all to suffer. So yeah, Cruel Prince, hard pass. Dune, you can probably see it on my shelves over there. I still own it, only because Half Price Books said it has water damage and I can't sell it back to them, so I might as well put it on my shelves. I hated Dune. I thought the characters were all like caricatures. They all felt like not real people. And the plot was interesting enough, but it was just lacking soul, in my opinion. Like, the book had no soul. It was all just like trying to be too too like interesting, too plot intensive, too like high mind characters, that it all just felt a bit like it was trying too hard. And I know this is such a dumb opinion because obviously Dune is such a classic sci-fi and so well beloved, but I can acknowledge that it has its place in sci-fi, and I can acknowledge that it's objectively a good book, while saying also I found it pretentious and dumb. I just didn't like it. Now, the next book is Jade City, and I didn't hate this book. I gave it 3 stars. It's just an unpopular opinion because so many people say it's like one of the best fantasy books ever, and I found it a bit boring. I'm sorry, I found it boring. I gave it 3 stars because, you know, the characters in the world were interesting enough, but the plot of Jade City gave me nothing. I did not care about that turf war. I didn't care about the characters winning or losing because I didn't even understand why this clan was supposed to be better than the other clan, beyond just these are the characters we follow. Which is fine if the characters we follow aren't supposed to be good, but it felt like they were supposed to be heroes in this story, and I just didn't understand why they were heroes. But they also weren't doing anything evil, so it's not like they were anti-heroes either. I don't know. It wasn't giving what I wanted it to give. I also did not like the Wayward Children series. I wanted to like this so bad, so bad. I mean, a series of novellas, that's so easy to get through. Of course I would want to like these. But I gave the first 2 books a try because I know that the odd books are different from the even books. So I wanted to give both books 1 and 2 a shot before I said no. But I gave these books both 2 stars. And these fantasy novellas, I think just the very name fantasy novella is what didn't work for me. There was so many like interesting things crammed into these novellas that it all moved too fast that I felt like I didn't understand what was happening. I mean, I understood it, but I wanted to understand the world more and be in that world for a longer time. But instead, everything just happened so fast that I felt like none of the plot turns were earned. Because, I mean, we would wonder about something and the next page it would happen, you know? Because it's a novella, it has to happen that way. But for me, it just didn't work. Also, I really wish I had read book 2 before book 1, because book 2 is kind of like a prequel to some main characters that were in book 1. And so I would have cared about what happened in book 1 more if I had known their backstory in book 2 prior to reading book 1. So if you haven't read it yet, maybe try reading book 2 before book 1. I don't know, I think I would have liked it more if I read it that way. I also do not like A Curious Beginning. This sounds like, on paper, this sounds like the book that would be my new favorite book of all time. It's a murder mystery, slow burn romance set in Victorian England. Like, those all sound so good. So good. And yet, the whole book, I was just waiting to like it. Got to the end, closed the book, and I was like, wait a second, I didn't like that. I wanted to like it so bad. I ended up giving it like 3 stars, but honestly that was like me being like optimistic. It's really a 2-star read for me. My problem with this book is I felt like things were happening to the characters, but the characters were not actively doing anything until we get the twist at the end where we see that the characters know what's going on all the time. But we find out at the same time as the antagonists find out. So we're not with the characters on their journey to finding out what's going on, which is very classic detective novel move, but for me it didn't work in this story that's very character driven. So ultimately I found A Curious Beginning just a bit boring, and I'm not going to continue on in the series. I also don't like Lord of the Rings. The movies are cool. I like the movies. This might even be more of an unpopular opinion to express that I like the movies, but I don't like the books. I listened to the audiobook for the first book, and I was so bored. I listen to audiobooks all the time, and I'm a really good audiobook listener. Like, I never zone out. I always understand what's going on. But Lord of the Rings, I kept zoning out because I was so bored. So I'd have to go back and listen to the whole last hour again. And I really tried. I did not move on until I tried to really listen to what was happening. And I listened to the whole first book, which is quite long on audio. And yeah, didn't care about a single thing that happened. Movies are better. Don't read Lord of the Rings, it stinks. I think the last unpopular opinion I'm gonna share for this video, and hope that I don't get canceled for this video, is that I dislike Robin Hobb's books. I gave her first trilogy a try, The Assassin's Apprentice, and I read the first 2 books in that first trilogy, and it's just so depressing. It's so depressing the whole time. Like, every page, it's like depressing, 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 and something good will finally happen, and a page later it'd be like, never mind, that good thing actually led to like way more depressing stuff. And it just, there was so many moments of sadness in that book that I stopped caring. It almost became a meme of like, okay, what horrible thing is going to happen next? Like, there were never any wins for the good guys, and it actually made me feel depressed as a person. So I had to stop reading these books because they were just putting me in a downer mood the whole time. So yeah, I will not be continuing on in Robin Hobb's extensive backlist because I just don't want to be sad. Those are all of the unpopular opinions I have. Hopefully I didn't upset too many of you. As I said at the beginning of the video, take everything I say with a grain of salt. These are just my personal opinions. You are not wrong if you disagree with me. You are just a little bit wrong if you disagree with me. But let me know in the comments if you agree with me, or if you disagree with me. Let me know why I'm wrong in the comments. Let's talk it out. Let's debate why my opinions are better than yours. I'm joking. Okay, these are all me joking. I'm sorry. But anyways, if you liked this video, give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye!